Hello again, once again. Adam Luckett coming to you from Morgantown, West Virginia. Jeff Drummond from somewhere in Lexington, KY. And I am here at Kendrick Family Ballpark. It feels like I've been here for 2 weeks now, Jeff, but that was one of the most insane baseball games I've ever seen. And it looked like Kentucky had taken total control of that game. I was getting ready to go record the celebration. That's where I was at the point. And somehow, some way, it just unravels on this baseball team. Ninth inning, West Virginia plates 5 runs. You get the big home run into the West Virginia bullpen from center fielder Paul Schoenfield. And the Mountaineers, 11. Wildcats, 9. That sets us up for a winner-take-all Game 3 between these two programs tomorrow, 6 p.m., first pitch here in Morgantown. We'll have another night game with what will be another rowdy and raucous crowd, probably more rowdy and raucous than this one because of how that one just ended. But Kentucky falls short. And, Jeff, I don't know, man. Where do you want to start? Because I feel like I could write a book. I feel like if I got some good caffeine in me right now, a quiet room, maybe some nice background music, I feel like I could just absolutely make some noise with the keyboard, because that thing, I don't know what it is. I want to start here, and then we'll get into the ninth inning meltdown. I don't know what it is about these two, but when these two baseball teams get together, I mean, it is insanity. It is anarchy. It is chaos. It is everyone is just losing their damn minds, unconscious. Just a crazy, crazy game, and these teams just keep playing bangers.
Yeah, it's if it was any other team, it wouldn't be quite. It's devastating, no matter how you stack it up. But it's the team that you had a 12-7 lead in the 8th inning last year to win a regional, and you gave up 6. And tonight you give up, I think they said this was an NCAA tournament record for a regional, to give up 5 in the 9th. On top of that, it's just you're shaking your head. And you've got to wonder, too, if this doesn't psychologically affect some of those guys who've been around for both of these games. How they bounce back from this is something I'd really be interested in. But for fans who have watched the entire season, this is kind of what every Sunday has been.
Yep, 100%.
They played 2 Saturday games, but game 3s. Let's just say game 3s. This was another game 3. They're 2-9 now in those, and I've got the numbers here. They've given up 102 runs, and they've scored 69. So they're giving up 10.2 runs per game. You add today's into it, and that goes up even further. They just haven't found a way to navigate the Sundays. And today it looked like they were finally going to do it. They got heroic bullpen efforts from Chase Alderman and Niall Adcock, and you said, man, they're going to get over the hump. I really thought I had 3/4 of a story written based on that, and they just couldn't finish. They do not have the arms to throw strikes and put people away late in games.
They just don't have. Okay, let's get into the ninth inning. Jeff, you bring up a good point. Like, this was every Sunday. I mean, every Sunday. This was a team like 2 weeks ago or whenever it was. Arkansas was up 10-0, and they stormed back and tie game. It's just like, how do you lose a game when you're down that big and you have such a crazy run and you have all this momentum in your home park? You're playing for everything at that point in the season. It's been dumbfounding how they lose some of these games, and it is over and over and over again. And I think, I hear people in the message board just kind of go to someone else. I'm just like, I wonder in hindsight if Mingione would have even took Adcock out. Like,
yeah,
we just ride him, because it feels like so many times they've had chances in these games, and it might not be the ninth inning every time, but it's been a lot of 7th, 8th, or 9th just implosion. where the game just totally gets away from them. And it was a game where they fall in a hole early. Like, that's another thing. I think I want to get into Ben Cleaver, but I want to focus on the ninth first. And I want to focus on strategy because I think in hindsight, and Mingione said it multiple times in his press conference, sick to his stomach that they just Adcock couldn't finish it. Because I think they thought he's going to go out, get 1, 2, 3, sick to his stomach. It starts with an error. How many times have we seen an error or a walk or a hit by pitch start some of these avalanches against Kentucky?
Changes the whole dynamic. And if you watch teams sometimes, if Caden Cloud makes that play, I think they cruise through that ninth inning.
Right, because remember the eighth. You could have heard a pin drop in this building. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, easy. West Virginia is out of there. The place was quiet. All you could hear was Kentucky fans just going kind of crazy here. And then, right, you get that free pass RBI. Like, how many free pass RBIs have we seen this year?
Yeah. I don't want to put it all on Caden either, but man, that opened the door to
back-to-back days too.
Yeah. And it also set up a situation with the walk that came behind it where you were going to have to face their studs again.
Mm-hmm.
And the top of that lineup is just pretty brutal. It's hard to navigate those guys. Guzman all weekend long has been a pest, and Kelly is as good a player. I mean, he's the equivalent of Tyler Bell basically at the plate. Yeah. His numbers are outstanding. So
yeah, they've seen a lot of good players
around. You just got this sick feeling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you just kind of, when the walk, or I believe whatever the free pass was right after the error, you were just like, uh-oh. Like I've said to, I think, Ryan Black in the press box, I said they need to get a ground ball like they got yesterday with Bennett right here, just to calm everything down. And the management was interesting. Okay, I do want to walk through the management and some of what Nick Mingione said before we kind of move on to other things. So they pull Adcock. They bring in, who do they bring in right after Adcock? They bring in Jackson Soucy. Got the save on Friday against Wake Forest. Bases are loaded, but similar spot. And Jeff, you see the strike zone better than I am because you're watching TV. You were telling me that, in that 4-pitch, I believe was it a 4-pitch walk? I believe it was a 4-pitch walk, RBI walk, that there were some tough strike calls there.
2 of those 4 balls had been called strikes all night long. And they were the kind of strikes that Caden Cloud took several of them. But they were strikes. They were in the upper part of the strike zone on the outer edge. And for whatever reason, and I'm not saying that umpires cost Kentucky the game by any stretch, but it didn't help. And they faced the tough end of the ball strike count tonight. That crowd would get behind it. And I feel like that really had an effect on a lot of the calls you saw, because it was a huge rowdy crowd and they were contesting every single call.
Yeah, I think obviously that's unfortunate. So after they take Soucy out, they bring Oliver Boone in. I believe he gets a sac fly. Kelly gets a sac fly off of him. So that scores another run, makes it an 11-10 ball game, or a, let's see here, 9-8 ball game, getting the scores mixed up. Then has the balk, 9-9, and then gives up the tank to Paul Schoenfield, only his 5th home run of the season, the center fielder. Makes it 11-9, and that's the game. Then brings Tristan Hunter in, and Hunter gets 2 quick outs. Pop out in the foul ground on the first base side, and then a K. And I asked Nick Mingione after the game, Jeff, because Hunter, we've seen a lot more just in SEC play. They're on the back end. When they were giving Sam's like a leash to try to see what he had, they were doing the same thing with Hunter. Now, it didn't go necessarily great there in the back half, but we've seen it more with him. And similarly to Chase Alderman, who had a really good outing, Hunter had like legit stuff, like get the fastball up to 95, 96. Has got some pitches off that fastball, similar to Alderman. So, like, there's some high upside with him. With him all year, it's just been control, walks, and you're in a situation where you felt like you probably had to throw strikes. So they take, Boone out, bring Alderman, or bring Hunter in. And I asked Nick Mingione about that, and he said basically they just had a checklist or whatever on their big board of when to use guys. and Boone was right above Tristan Hunter. And then they said they liked the matchup with Susie at the top of the lineup, and it just didn't work out. And then I know everyone is asking about Jackson Jelkin, and I asked Nick Bengione again. This was to end the press conference. I said, we saw Jackson Jelkin go down there, Nick. He was stretching in the bullpen. Was he available today? Will he be available tomorrow? And he paused for a second and then told me no comment. So take that for what it will, but it sounds like maybe they tried it and he just wasn't feeling great. I don't know. So I know everyone's wanting to answer that question. We just don't have the answer to it right now. Maybe we'll get it in the future, but we don't have the answer. And I think at the end of the game, Jeff, I think you just saw kind of what has tormented this team all year, and it's why I think they're probably not hosting this weekend. It's just been the pitching depth just hasn't been what it's been needed. Ben Cleaver has had a really disappointing season. Again, I think this is the third or fourth power conference game where he couldn't get out of the first inning. That just puts Kentucky and their pitching plan way behind the 8-ball. And then in key instances, to me, Jeff, it just feels like they cannot get the key defensive play. They could have got burned last night, and it didn't happen with the Cloud error. They kind of got burned today. It just, they don't have, whether you want to call it killer instinct or that TKO punch to just land the knockout blow. They just really haven't had it all year, and it's come back to bite them. And you can go down their schedule and just look at all their 1, 2, 3 3-run lost games. It feels like it's happened a ton, and I think a lot of it just comes down to a combination of lack of starter length. I think they got a combined 4 innings and change from Ben Cleaver and Nate Harris in 2 games against West Virginia, and then the back end of the bullpen just kind of breaks down on them.
Yeah, and I want to think about, there's a lot of what ifs in this game tonight. So many that I would probably miss some of them, but UK walked a run in, they balked a run in, they hit a batter for a pitch for a run. It's tough play, but Hansen couldn't come up with the ball in left field near the wall that maybe could have been caught. It would have been a tough play, but could have been. They got a runner thrown out at home by 20 feet. They had a tough call go against them on what should have been a bases-loaded walk for I can't remember who was, Hudson Brown maybe. I think it was one of UK's left-handers in the game. Pitched very low and out of the zone, so they lost a run there. There's just like, and then the Caden Cloud play. There's like 6 plays just off the top of my head that resulted in scoring or not scoring. And Kentucky, let's see, I'm trying to remember the play where he got thrown out at home. I think it's the same one I'm referring to. If they don't try to score there, Tyler Bell's
You're right.
Their next inning with a home run. That would have been either a grand slam or a 3-run home run if it unfolded the same way. But there's just so many crazy what if this had happened situations in a close ball game.
Yeah. We're watching the same movie. Yeah, I'm right there with you. I know some people that's your first time meme obviously gets thrown out there, but like, welcome to what has been our Sunday, right? Like, to you, for your point, welcome to our Sundays in April and May and now June. This is what they've just been doing. They just have had a hard time, I think, figuring it out. It's a shame because I really do feel like I feel for Niall Adcock and I feel for Chase Alderman because they should have won that game. With what they gave them, they should have won that baseball game.
That would have been legendary if they had done that. It would have been in 5 1/3 scoreless from those two guys on a day when the entire college baseball world was saying Kentucky and West Virginia doesn't have any pitching left. And by contrast, West Virginia gets a guy that throws the last 5 innings, and he kind of ended up being the hero, McDougal.
Yeah. He because of the story changed for McDougal, right? Because of what the ninth inning West Virginia had. Kentucky did get them, and you felt like when Kentucky, to me, it felt like I was worried it was going to be 7-6 and they were going to lose this game 8-7. When they got 9, I felt pretty good. I thought with the way Adcock was going, but I will say the Cleaver start and pulling him so early, Adcock was an inning early. I think we can say in hindsight, if they could have brought him in an inning later, then I think, if you bring him instead, I think he came on in the 5th. If you bring him on in the 6th or the 7th, whenever it was, I think that was a big difference.
That was my big concern in our game thread. And a lot of people, as soon as he got in trouble, they're like, pull him. What are you doing? And you got to think about playing 9+ innings in these things. And sure, it feels good to vent that release, get him out of here, yank him out of the game. But you've got all those outs. You still have to find a way to get
right.
it. I wonder in hindsight if maybe they wish they had let him try to get out of the first inning. But with the way those first 4 batters went, he just
we've seen it with him. It just when he doesn't have it, right?
Yeah.
When he has it, Cleaver when Cleaver has it, he gets through the first 9 pretty easy. And then it's that second time through the order, in my opinion, when he has it, when he's had it this year. But when he doesn't have it, you kind of know, and it's been hard for him to kind of, all right, settle in. Let's get some outs here. So, yeah, I think that had a big part in it. But it felt like Alderman, Jeff, 7 outs? It felt like he stole 7 outs. He got a sword K on Gavin Kelly. Felt like he stole 7 outs, and you felt like he saved the game for them. And even Ira Austin, I thought in the first, again, got a big 2 outs for Kentucky to limit the bleeding there because you felt like they could have been down 6-0 before they came to bat. And then offensively, I want to get to this, but first we got to talk about our guy Andy Ludicky over at My Perfect Franchise. Andy Ludicky's here. He's franchise owner, franchise consultant, and he's here to help you. If you are sick of the corporate rat race, want to diversify and build wealth and or leave a legacy, have a job or want a side hustle, he can help. His services are 100% free. If you have any questions about business ownership, head to myperfectfranchise.net to learn more, or you can call or text Andy at 404-973-9901. And Jeff, Tyler Bell had really struggled in NCAA tournament games. I kind of wrote about it today. Really, I think he let West Virginia hear about some of, I think, his frustrations with those 2 bombs, one from the left side, one from the right side. Obviously, goes back to back with Jace Tarnish there in the 7th. I thought it was big getting him back. Tarnish has had a great, I think, regional. Luke Lawrence has that oppo double. Owen Jenkins, I thought, had a 1 for 4, but he had another free pass. He keeps the game alive in the 9th. I thought he had a nice game. Hudson Brown, 0 for 4 tonight, so not his best game. Hindle, I thought, had a nice game at the plate. Van Cleve, again, just keeps coming up big for this baseball team. So offensively, I thought Kentucky had a solid game, and it was good to get, I think, Bell really going because they're going to need him specifically tomorrow because they're probably going to win a shootout, if we're going to be honest. So offensively, they did enough to win. It still felt like, Jeff, you look at the scoreboard here, 2-1, 1-3, 0-0, get the bombs, add 2 in the 7th, 0-0, 8th, 9th. In a game like that, you just got to – they never got the big inning, but they just needed 1 more run, 2 more runs. If they get that West Virginia's approach is totally different in the 9th inning, and who knows.
9 should win you a game. But the big problem, I think, tonight was Kentucky gets 3 big bombs, and I think that only accounted for 3 runs. They were all solo, if I'm not mistaken. In looking at the scorecard, the biggest difference in this whole thing is Kentucky issues 10 walks, West Virginia issues 3. So they had a lot more traffic. They kept a lot more pressure on Kentucky, even though they were kind of trailing for the most part there. And then when it mattered most, they got the 2-run ball.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right on that. We talked about it. The reason they beat Wake Forest We talked about it on this Rapid Reaction because no free passes. And so I want to shift to tomorrow before we shut this down. Again, I think diving into what the plan could be, Connor Madison is going to get the start. They haven't announced it yet, but that's what's going to happen. Most likely something crazy would have to happen for it not to happen. He's had moments where he's gotten games in the 6th inning against really good lineups, 5th inning, 6th inning, but he's also had moments here lately where he's kind of gotten rocked a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see. I think he matches up a little better specifically with that changeup he likes to throw. West Virginia is not a team that lifts the ball, hits a lot of home runs. It's not really an SEC lineup, so he might match up better. So it starts there. And then who's available in the bullpen? I think Jack Sams will probably be available. I think Tristan Hunter, obviously. And then after that, it's going to be, who knows? Could Bennett throw 2 days rest? I don't know if that'll happen. Maybe I'm assuming if there's a chance, Jelkin's probably going to try to run down there to the bullpen again in the late innings. So we'll see how that happens. But it's going to be a game where Kentucky is going to need to score some runs. West Virginia is probably going to throw their ace, Max Eel, who got pulled in the first meeting between these two in the regional, and Kentucky, Ben Cleaver is going to be available. And I know people want to scoff at that, but you get into this game in a 6th inning, you might need a lefty, right? And then who knows? And so we'll see.
You might get good Cleaver on Monday. Good Cleaver's really good.
The one thing I want to say, Jeff, before we get out of here, and I know everyone's down right now, and I think people who watch this baseball team realize this. This team has a knack for bouncing back and getting off the mat. They have done it all year. They find a way, typically, and they just fight, scratch, and claw. And so one thing I thought was interesting, the game's over, and typically in baseball games, the teams walk out to like the outfield, or like Vanderbilt meets in the dugout, but like Kentucky walks out to the outfield after a game's over. They go from the dugout, so they're on third base side, and they'll go in the left field, and they'll have a little team huddle. So they're all kind of right after it. They're just kind of slowly walking out to left field. And I look up, I'm about to leave the press box. Nick Mingione sprints over there to, tell him a message. And he told him in the press box, and even Tyler Bell even said this. He's like, it's over. We're going to play a baseball game tomorrow. We're going to kind of be ready to play. And Mingione says, this is what we do. It expires at midnight. It's how you respond in life. And this team has responded. And so I think they're going to respond tomorrow. I don't know if they've got the pitching to do it. That was my big concern heading into this regional. It felt like they would need to win it in 3. But we'll see. I think they'll bounce back. Will it be good enough? I don't know, but I think you'll see a bounce back. And if this series has taught us anything, these two are going to play an absolute slobber knocker tomorrow. And West Virginia coach Steve Sabins called them barroom fights. And that's kind of what they've been. They're going to go back and forth, and they're going to trade haymakers, and we'll see what happens in the late innings.
Yeah. Well, I expect it to be kind of one of those beer league softball games with the score that we see tomorrow. That being said, it'll probably be something crazy, and we'll go, how did that happen? But I think it's Kentucky's birthday tomorrow, the state's birthday. The Cats are due for something good after this one tonight. So maybe they can deliver and come through.
And that'll be it. We'll do it again. 6 p.m. tomorrow in Morgantown for the whole enchilada, the regional. Winner will host now that UCLA lost out in Westwood. So West Virginia, Kentucky could host a super regional and would probably be the favorite to advance to the College World Series if they do that. So a lot on the line. For Jeff Drummond, this is Adam Luckett. We'll see y'all next time.